Of Gita on the Go. I hope you're faring well in your daily routines. Just take out 15 to 20 minutes every day for this super knowledge that will make your life really blissful. So we are talking in the Gita on the Go how to apply the knowledge in the ancient text Bhagavad Gita, the timeless wisdom in our day-to-day lives and make our lives super blissful. So today we will be talking about what Krishna is telling Arjun further in the matter of self-realization. Because as we understood that the Atma Gyan or the self-realization is the topmost knowledge, and how it is going to help us in our day-to-day life, we are going to see a very grand example of it in today's shloka 2.14. Before that, let's say our prayers. Let's express our gratitude to the great acharyas who have made this knowledge possible for us. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjan Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauruvani Pracharine Nirvishesh Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshitarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So in 2.13, which is an iconic shlok, we understood Krishna telling Arjun that just like a body, moves on or changes form from, a child to a youth to old age, similarly, it passes into another body, which means the soul passes into another body. Now, there was a differentiation made between Deha and Dehi. Deha means the body and Dehi means one who resides in the body, that is the soul. Just like we understood from the example of the computer and its user. The body ages, the body transforms, reincarnates every moment, slowly and gradually, but one fine day, when it gets dilapidated or when the time has come, the body just vanishes, not really vanishes from sight, but what we mean to say is that it ceases to be. The body perishes because it is perishable, it is matter, but the soul is spirit. It never perishes. It moves on to another body dependent on its desires and actions in the past. Now, Arjun was being instructed by Krishna that one who is sober, one who is dheer, will never get bewildered by such a change as death, because it only means that the body, the older one, has perished and the soul is taking on another better body. Maybe better body, maybe worse, because depends on what actions and desires were done in the past. Now, one who is sober will not get bewildered. Now, Arjun is saying, actually, although not mentioned here explicitly, but Arjun has a great big question in the mind. Yes, Krishna, I'm beginning to understand that I am not the body but the soul, but I am so conditioned that I'm used to thinking about myself as a body, and I'm really very much attached to the bodies of all those who have been my relatives in this lifetime. Because the relations that we have are relations of the body, not of the soul. Since I've been so much used to thinking in terms of the body, I am very much attached to the bodies of Bhishma Pitamaha, of Drona, of all my cousin brothers who are facing me in the battle today. And with the thought of whose death, my heart is bursting with pain. मेरे दिल में तो दर्द हो रहा है कृष्णा, कैसे मैं इस दर्द को टैकल करूं, कैसे मैं इसे कम करूं? Okay, fine, I'm the soul, but still I cannot stop my heart bursting with pain. Please tell me how to tackle this. Now, isn't that really true for all of us? Doesn't that happen to all of us? Many times, in fact, all the time, we are attached so much to our relatives, to our friends, that if anything bad happens to them, our heart really aches. Now, to answer this question, this implicit question by Krishna, and this question which is there in all our hearts, Krishna is saying 2.14. Matrasparshastu Kaunteya Shitoshna Sukha Dukkhadah Agam Apayino Anityah Tam Stitikshasva Bharata. Now, what his instruction to Arjun is. Now, Arjun is being called here by two names. Krishna is deliberately calling Arjun by two names, Kaunteya and Bharata. What is that significance? The significance is that you are the son of Kunti, Arjun, which means you belong to a great maternal heritage. And Bharat, you are also from the Bharat dynasty, the great Guru dynasty, which means a great heritage actually means great responsibility. You cannot shirk from your duties. Do as your noble and grand heritage befits you to do. That's the indirect meaning of Krishna by using these two words, these two names for Arjun. Now, what is Krishna saying to Arjun? He's saying, Matrasparshastu Kaunteya, which means, hey son of Kunti, these pains and pleasures of your life arise when the sense objects associate or get in touch with the senses, which means your senses like the eyes, the ears, the nose, the skin, when they come in contact with the sense objects. What are the sense objects? The sense objects for the eyes is form, something that we see. The object for the ears is sound, what we hear. Similarly, the object for our skin is touch. That means these senses are always looking out for the sense objects. And when the senses come in contact with the sense objects, it gives rise to the pleasures and pains in the body. Now, we have to understand the significance, the depth of this statement. It means that, for example, if this pin, which is a sense object, comes in contact with my skin, which is a sense, there will be a sensation of pain. Similarly, a soft thing like this soft toy, for example, when it comes in touch with my skin, there will be a sensation of pleasure created. Now, the senses perceive these, I would say, the pains and the pleasures. But these pains and the pleasures are actually experienced by the mind based on their previous samskaras, which is also relative. For instance, if you put your hand first in cold water and then into water which is at room temperature, the water at room temperature will appear warmer or, hotter in comparison to cold water. But suppose I put my hand in water at suppose 60 degrees centigrade and then I put my hand in water at room temperature, about 25 degrees centigrade. What happens is that my hand perceives the water as colder now. So even the perception of pain and pleasure is very relative. It is based on my past samskaras, my impressions from all my previous lives. And these pains and pleasures are actually being experienced by the mind, and these have nothing to do with my soul. The soul is a temporary resident of this body and mind, which means the mind and the body, the subtle body and the gross body are only temporary residences for the soul. But since the soul is identifying so closely with the mind and the body, these pains and pleasures are also being experienced by the soul. Something like when you're sitting in a car and you're driving a car, and suddenly there is some bar that comes up front, maybe a barrier which comes up front on the road, and the barrier is just high enough for you to take your car from underneath it. But all the same, when you're passing underneath, you involuntarily duck down a little, as if the car is you. Sometimes we start identifying why the car. If somebody is going to hit the car, if we feel somebody is going to hit the car, we automatically shrink away from that, under the impression that the car is me. Similarly, the soul has been trapped in the body for so long that it starts to perceive the pains and the pleasures of the body and the mind with itself. It starts to identify. But Krishna is telling us, just like the winter comes and the winter goes, the summer comes and the summer goes. Now, do we ever stop going to the office or our schools, or stop doing our duties because it's winter time or it's summer time? Of course, we have the summer holidays and the winter holidays, but we don't stop doing our regular duties. For instance, we get up early in the morning. Sometimes some of us don't, but we take baths, we eat our food. We do all sort of activities, and we don't stop when, if it's either summer or winter. So Krishna is telling Arjun, hey Arjun, this is a world of dualities. This world has been created in such a way that there will always be some misery, some pain, and some pleasure. It can never be all misery or all pleasure. Just like when the winter comes, you can be sure that the summer is also coming. It's also going to come in due course of time. Similarly, the pains and pleasures of this world are simply dualities which are very, very temporary. But who will call me intelligent if, because of these distractions of summer and winter, heat or cold, I stop doing my duties, I lose my focus? What if these temporary pains and pleasures become distractions big enough for me to suspend all my duties? That is what is wrong, Arjun. You must learn to tolerate. So the verdict given by Krishna is, till the time you become a Mahatma, till the time you learn to detach yourself. Yourself means the soul from the mind and the body. Till that time, Arjun, just tolerate. What to tolerate? Now, Krishna is not asking Arjun to tolerate the injustices being done by Kauravas. Krishna is asking Arjun to fight back. But what he is trying to tell Arjun is that you tolerate the pains and the pleasures which arise in the course of your discharging your duties. अपने कर्तव्य निभाते रहिए अर्जुन. रास्ते में दुख भी आएंगे, सुख भी आएंगे, सर्दी भी आएगी, गर्मी भी आएगी, लेकिन आप अपना focus lose मत कीजिए. Now the point for us to understand is, how do we know what to tolerate and what not to tolerate? For us to understand this, we need to take the shelter of Krishna's own guidance, his words. Now Arjun was fortunate because Arjun was getting the guidance of Krishna directly. But we are also fortunate because even if not directly for the moment, in due course of time, it may happen. But for the moment, we can take directions from Krishna's representatives and Krishna's words from the Shastras, like Bhagavad Gita as it is. If we read the Bhagavad Gita as it is with a lot of attention, we will find answers to most of our life's solutions. In fact, all of our life's problems, not solutions. So what we need to understand is that what needs to be tolerated are the dualities, the pains and the pleasures, which are very temporary in nature. But we need to go ahead with our duties of following the religious principles. Now, Srila Prabhupada gives us very wonderful examples from the day-to-day life. He says, just like even if there is winter, a man who is following the religious principles properly will get up at the right time, take his bath, even though it's cold, and go to his office or go to school or whatever, wherever he needs to go. Similarly, even if it's the month of June, and it's blisteringly hot, a mother will not refrain from going to the kitchen and cooking for her children, her husband. Why? Because she knows that's her duty. Will she do that? Well, if a woman, decides not to cook for the months of the summer because it's too hot for her, then of course she is deviating from the duties. So we need to tolerate all those temporary distractions which come in the way of our discharging our religious principles, our duties that we ought to do. And that's why Srila Prabhupada says that, Arjun, you are a Kshatriya and your duty is to fight injustice. That's my verdict. That's what is Dharma. Because what is Dharma? Dharma is Krishna's words. Dharmam tu sakshat pranitam. So when Krishna says, as a Kshatriya, that is your duty to fight injustice. You please tolerate all the pains and pleasures which come in the process of doing so, and just pick up your weapons and fight, Arjun, fight. Because by discharging your duties, by tolerating these dualities, these dvandvas, the pains and the pleasures, the sun and the darkness, whatever comes into your life, the crests and the troughs, just keep tolerating and keep discharging your duties, because with that will come knowledge. And with knowledge and devotion, you will be able to ultimately break your material bondage and become liberated from material life. Many of us think, although in the present scenario, that to tolerate means it is weakness on our parts, which means tolerance means weakness. But here, Krishna is telling Arjun, tolerance is the greatest strength of a man. To be able to tolerate the ups and downs of life and still keep discharging duties firmly, determinedly, is what a Mahatma needs to do, is what a real human needs to do. That is the meaning of human life, and that's how human life is different from all other different species of life. So, with this message to tolerate the ups and downs and to keep discharging our duty is the foremost thing that we need to do in our lives. And dil mein dukh to honge hi, dard bhi honge, और कुछ happiness भी आएगी, pleasures भी होंगे, pains भी होंगी. But Krishna is telling us, don't get too bogged down by the pains, don't get too elated by the pleasures, because these are all very temporary. There was a very beautiful story. I'll end up with this one. There was a very, very witty jester in a king's court. एक राजा के दरबार में बहुत ही चतुर, जैसे कह सकते हैं, बहुत चतुर व्यक्ति थे जो राजा का एंटरटेनमेंट किया करते थे. So one day the king asked him a very tricky question. So please come here, jester, my dear jester, please come here and tell me one sentence which will make a happy man become sad and a sad man become happy. Only one sentence. The sentence must be same, but if I show it to a happy man, he will become sad. But if I show it to a sad man, he will become happy. And the jester thinks for a while and answers, yes, I will tell you, my dear king, there is one such statement. Then the statement is, listen carefully, this too shall pass. Ye bhi guzar jayega. So one who is happy will know that his happiness will also pass and he will become sad. And one who is sad will understand that this sadness will also pass and he becomes happy. So this actually shows us the very temporary nature of this material world, of the pains and the pleasures and the dualities of this material world. Some very beautiful day of my life, I heard somebody speak. He was speaking from his experience that a strength of a man is judged by how good a buffer he is. The buffer means to tolerate. So how well we can tolerate the ups and downs of life will decide how wonderfully we can live this life and how at the end of this life we will be able to break the bonds of this material nature and escape out into the eternal, blissful spiritual world. With that, let's end the session for today. Happy festivities to all of you. Chant Hare Krishna and always be happy.